Hello everyone, Bob here. Today we're going to talk about the fourth installment in the Halloween franchise, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This film came out in 1988, so it came out on the 10th anniversary of the original. It was the first film in the franchise not to have any connection to John Carpenter or Deborah Hill other than the fact that they created the franchise, and of course the main theme was written by John Carpenter that does appear in this film. Other than that, this film has nothing to do with John Carpenter or Deborah Hill, so it's an entirely new creative team. Mustafa Akkad, who at this point had gained ownership of the franchise, wanted to go, as he put it, back to the basics of what made the first film so successful and so effective. So he brought in Dwight Little, was the director that was ultimately chosen, and Alan B. McElroy was chosen to write the script. He famously wrote the script in 11 days in order to get it done before the writer's strike that was rapidly approaching. When the film starts off, we learn that Michael Myers has been in a coma for the last 10 years, ever since the events at the end of Halloween 2 when there was the explosion, and he's being held at Ridgemont, the Ridgemont Sanitarium, and they're getting ready to transfer him back to Smith's Grove. And while he is being transferred, a couple of the attendants start talking about that he has a niece living in his hometown, but she's, too young to be his legal ward. And that's when they tell us that the Laurie Strode character, Jamie Lee Curtis, isn't around anymore because she died in a car crash, because Jamie Lee Curtis had absolutely no interest in returning to the franchise at this point. At this point, we're introduced to Michael's niece, a little girl named Jamie Lloyd, who is played absolutely wonderfully by Danielle Harris. Her foster family, the Carruthers, are taking care of her, and she keeps having these nightmares about a man in a white mask attacking her, and she refers to him as the Nightmare Man. It's at this point that we learn that Loomis also survived the fiery explosion from the end of Halloween 2. He meets with Dr. Hoffman, who was Michael's doctor at Ridgemont, and they go to the place where the ambulance that was transporting Michael is crashed and overturned and laying in the river, and they find out he killed all the occupants. And Loomis announces that he is returning to Haddonfield. He said it's a 4-hour drive, that if the local authorities that are working the wreck don't find Michael in 4 hours, he will. At that point, they take us to a gas station diner where Michael kills a mechanic and steals the overalls and kills a waitress. That's where Loomis comes face to face with him, and the camera work in this scene is great. It uses one of the old Alfred Hitchcock tricks where the background explodes because they're pulling the camera back, but they're zooming in at the same time, and it makes the whole background just kind of explode. It works really well. Obviously, it wouldn't be a Hitchcock trick, but that's a really neat exchange, and ends with Loomis shooting at Michael, and Michael escapes again, and then he steals the tow truck, and as he leaves, he sets the gas station on fire, and of course Loomis survives, but his ride is destroyed, and Michael heads off towards Haddonfield. After Jamie is bullied at school, she decides she wants to go trick-or-treating that night, and so they go to the hardware store where Rachel wants to talk to her boyfriend. There's a love triangle thing where she's trying to get in a serious relationship with this guy she's been dating named Brady, and Brady kind of is apparently getting something on the side from the sheriff's daughter, but we'll talk about that a little later. But when Jamie's back there looking at the costumes, she picks a kind of a clown outfit that is very similar to what Michael wore at the beginning of the original film when he killed his sister in '63. And while she's picking that out, Michael shows up behind her and he steals his new mask. Now, the new mask in this film has caught a lot of flack. They still use a William Shatner mask, but they don't really do anything with the eyebrows or redo the hair, and they just paint it with. They don't. It isn't. It's kind of white. Oh, it is white, but it's way too white, I think, is the way I want to say that. It's not that... It's never really bothered me as much as it has some people. But it's certainly better, in my opinion, than some of the masks that come later in the franchise. But it isn't that classic mask from 1978's Halloween. It is what it is, but it works. I don't hate it. I know a lot of people do. I'm sorry if you're wanting me to bash the mask in this video. I'm not going to, because although the one scene where he does appear later with the that's been unaltered, it's got the blonde hair and the tan face, is yeah, that is bad. We'll bash that one. Rachel, who is Jamie's stepsister, takes her trick-or-treating. There are several scenes where Michael stalks them, and at the same time, Michael systematically is disabling the town. He takes out the power. The phone lines are down. He takes out on the police department and takes care of them. And that leaves Loomis and Meeker as really the only law enforcement, if you will, that are left. So this group of townspeople form kind of like a lynch mob, if you will, and they're going around searching for Michael. They accidentally kill someone that they thought was Michael. It wasn't. It turns out it was Ted Hollister. Now, whoever Ted Hollister is, he dies in this film, but it is not any fault of Michael. Sheriff Meeker and Loomis do come across Jamie and Rachel, and Meeker decides to take them back to his house, and he radios the one other deputy in the town that he had waiting at the Carruthers house to tell the parents when they got home. And little does that deputy know, but Michael hides out in the back seat of his car and rides all the way over to the Meeker house so he can find Jamie and Rachel. But when they get there, Rachel finds out that, of course, earlier when they were trick-or-treating one of the houses, they stop out the sheriff, and that's when Rachel finds out that her boyfriend, Brady, or who she wants to have as her steady boyfriend, is also seeing the sheriff's daughter, Kelly Meeker. And so there's some tension there, and after the deputy gets there, and everybody's in the house, and they're talking about getting everything all locked up and everything, there's a shot between Meeker and the deputy, and they're talking, and you can see Michael, the very edge of him, standing back there in the background listening to him. That is so subtle, yet it's so effective, and a lot of people you talk to about this film don't even realize that shot's there. They just think it's Meeker and the deputy talking, but in the background you can clearly see it on the Blu-ray or even the DVD. You can see him standing back there, and it's a nod to how well attention to some detail was in this film. And like I say, I know some detail was let go because obviously the unfinished mask Michael wears in the school scene later. But things like that, though, make this film stand out above some of the films that follow in the franchise. Michael eventually kills the occupants off one by one. Loomis and Meeker do leave. Meeker leaves to go try to track down the lynch monk because he hears him talking about killing Ted Hollister on the radio. Loomis leaves and goes back to the Carruthers house because he thinks that Michael will go back there. Of course, little does he know he's already in the house. Well, then Michael makes his move to kill off the deputy, the sheriff's daughter, and then Rachel and Jamie are left, and Brady and Michael's coming up the stairs chasing him, and Michael kills Brady on the steps, and Brady had shot the front door thinking he'd get out through the lock because they didn't have the key, and it was a metal key, or a metal door, so they can't get out. So after Michael kills Brady, there's a rooftop chase, and Rachel ends up lowering Jamie down to the ground, and Rachel falls off when being attacked by Michael, though she lives. Michael chases Jamie, and Loomis finds Jamie at this point, and Michael chases the two of them back to the school. Michael attacks Loomis in what is the tan mask with blonde hair moment that I was referring to. It was, they were, supposedly the story goes they were filming late at night, and they were also tired, and none of them noticed that he had the wrong mask on. It stands out like a sore thumb when you're watching it. I wish it wasn't like that, because that is, kind of makes it, when I talk about attention to detail, like in that shot a little bit ago, kind of makes that argument fall apart because they missed that. But no film's perfect. No film's perfect. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Anyway, Michael attacks Loomis, but doesn't kill him. Then he comes and attacks Jamie. Rachel shows up and shoots Michael with the fire extinguisher. Jamie and Rachel get out. The lynch mob comes when they hear the school alarm going off from when they broke in, and they're going to haul them to safety. Now, while they're trucking them to safety, Michael comes crawling out into the bed of the pickup. How he gets there is unclear. I'm assuming he held on underneath and just rode all that way and crawled out and around, because I know he didn't run to catch up and get it, but they never really explain how he got on there. But he gets on there. He takes care of the lynch mob that's in the back. Then he attacks the driver, and he kills him. And Rachel pushes him out the window, and she drives wildly trying to throw him off, and she eventually gets Michael thrown off. Then she rams him with the pickup, and he goes flying down into this old mine shaft type area, and that's when the police come back, and Rachel goes and talks to them. She tells Jamie to stay in the truck. Of course, Jamie does. Jamie goes down and touches Michael for whatever reason. I have no idea, but for whatever reason, and she does, and they say, "Get down, don't touch him." Then, of course, Michael comes to and stands up, and they shoot him a gazillion times. Michael falls down the mine shaft. A bunch of stuff falls on top of him. That's the last time we see Michael in this movie. Now, they go back to the Carruthers house, and Mrs. Carruthers is going to go run a bath for Jamie. And while she's upstairs and running the bath, you see a mask come on. It's, not a full mask. It's just the mask that's like the clown mask from that Jamie wore. And then you hear a blood-curdling scream from Mrs. Carruthers, and Loomis goes to run upstairs, and he stops short in his tracks, and he's screaming, "No!" And it is he up at the top, revealed at the top of the stairs, that Jamie was the one that put the mask on, and she attacked her stepmother. She's got blood all over her, and that is one of the best cliffhanger endings you could ever ask for. Now, whenever you're talking about Halloween 4, you have to talk about that opening credit sequence. That is it sets the mood for the whole film, and it's what it is. It's a series of shots from a farmstead, and there's leaves blowing. The leaves are blowing in the wind. It is a very atmospheric opening. Not that I have a problem with the pumpkin from the first two films. I mean, that is as iconic as it gets to this franchise. But the way Halloween 4 opens, it sets the mood for autumn in the Midwest. Even though it was filmed in Utah, and you can see the mountains in the background during the opening credits sequence. So requires a certain suspension of disbelief. But living in the Midwest myself, and hearing the wind blow, and just knowing how it feels during harvest time, that is one of the best. It does the best job of making it feel like Halloween in the Midwest. It feels right. It feels perfect. It's very well done, and as far as I'm concerned, it's my favorite opening credit sequence of the whole series. It sets the mood, it sets the atmosphere, it nails it on the head. Again, I love the opening pumpkin in Halloween and Halloween 2. Those are as iconic as it gets, and like I say, not to detract from them. The way Halloween 4's opening credits were done, it sets the mood perfectly, and I prefer that. But I do love the opening pumpkin shots from the first 2 films as well. As far as I'm concerned, Halloween 4 is one of the best, if not the best, late 80s slasher films. By this time, of course, you've got Jason has wandered his way up into 88. So Friday the 13th Part 7 was coming out. So you have The New Blood coming out at the same time. And it'd be Nightmare on Elm Street 4, I believe, came out in 88 as well. And by this time, we're kind of getting out of the slasher heyday of the early 80s, and this time it's sequelitis, basically. And while there are some other good slasher horror films that came out of the late 80s, as far as I'm concerned, this one's probably the best one. And it does a pretty darn good job of recapturing the spirit of the first 2. Now, I know, like I say, I know a lot of people can't get past the mask in this film. I get that, and I respect that. It's just something that has never bothered me. So, my original viewing order for these films, I saw Halloween and Halloween 2. I don't remember at what point I saw Halloween 3. But the next film I saw was actually Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And then I saw H2O. And I didn't come back and see 4 and 5 until after I'd seen H2O. And, excuse me. It was I thought that Halloween 4 at the time I saw, of course, granted, this is watching through a little kid's eyes. I thought it did the best job of recapturing the first one. As far as I'm concerned, it's my favorite sequel. Not to judge Halloween 2, because I love Halloween 2, and as far as I'm concerned, Halloween followed by Halloween 2 is the perfect way to watch those films. But as far as, there's something about Halloween 4 that I really love and enjoy, and I don't know what exactly it is. And out of all the films in this franchise, this is probably the one I watch the most. There is some cringe moments in it. I mean, you got that whole love triangle between Rachel Carruthers, played by Ellie Cornell, her boyfriend Brady, who's I believe was played by Sasha. What was his name? Sasha Jensen. He's the guy. He was also in Dazed and Confused. And then Kelly Meeker, who's played by Kathleen Kinmont, who other horror fans probably know from other films such as Bride of Reanimator and things like that. But, I mean, yeah, there's some cheese moments in there like that. There's a few self-aware jokes in there. But the film feels like autumn to me. And I know there's also some people that don't like 4, 5, and 6 because they're in the 185:1 aspect ratio instead of the more cinematic 2.35:1 that the first 3 films were. But really, I mean, I can't fault the film for that. The film, Halloween 4 is one that I enjoy it. I watch it more often than any of the other films, probably even the original. Don't hate me for that. I know the original's better and all that. It's just a lot of times when I think I want to watch a Halloween film, 4 is the one I gravitate to. It feels the most like autumn. It feels like the original, and it's a darn fun film to watch. And I want to give this film a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect. It would have been higher if they didn't have that mask fiasco with the unfinished mask. It would have been cool had they decided to go with the bandaged Michael, because at the beginning when he escapes, he's just got bandages wrapped around his face, and you don't see his face that way. And that would have been a cool, creepy, alternate thing to have done, but I don't have a problem with the mask, or as big a one as a lot of people do. Is it the best mask in the series? Heck no. But it's certainly not as bad as some of the others in the franchise. But like I say, I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10. It is definitely one of them that is worth watching. It is the last, what I would consider, truly great film in the series. There's others that are good, don't get me wrong. But as far as I'm concerned, if you want to watch a quote-unquote trilogy of Michael Myers films, 1, 2, and 4 are the way to go. If we would have just gotten 1, 2, and 4, and it would have just been, that's your Michael Myers trilogy, I would have been okay with that. Don't get me wrong, I like some of the other films that come later and all, but I really like Halloween 4, and to me, it's the best of the sequels. Now, the death count in this film is going to be a little trickier to do because it's impossible to know for sure how many he killed at the police station. So, that's open to debate, I guess. But let's count the ones off we do know that Michael kills. He kills the 2 attendants in the back of the ambulance that's transporting him, as well as the 2 paramedics that are driving the ambulance. He kills the mechanic at the gas station diner, and he kills the waitress at the gas station diner. Okay, that's 6. Michael then kills Bucky, the electrician at the power station. He kills, then is the police station thing, so it's kind of iffy on how many he actually kills there. I'm going to put 1 because I know for sure 1 was killed. So 7, 8. Deputy Logan would be 9. He is mangled. Kelly Meeker is impaled with a shotgun through the chest. Brady is his neck snapped and his face is crushed. Then there's the members of the lynch mob. They're in the truck, so that's 4 of them. So that would bring Michael's kill total up in this film to 15 for sure. And then don't forget Ted Hollister's killed by that lynch mob. And so we know 15 for sure, but we don't know how many others he kills because in the police station. It's very debatable. That's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Halloween 4 is the first in the Thorn trilogy, which I'll explain a little more in the next couple videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing to this channel. I try to have new content daily during normal times. I'm busy with harvest now. I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm getting these out as often as I can, so my channel will return to normal form here at some point. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Just search for Bob the Film Guy. I try to keep that as updated as I can. And for now, this is Bob, signing off.